welcome to L460 Sewing and Knitting Centre, and today I'm going to show you a real cool gadget on the L460 overlocking machine. And it's just great for neatening your edges. The overlocker neatens your edges anyway, but it's just great for if you want to do your seam allowance and it's going to cut it exactly at your right width that you want it. So this is the L460, and on this little gadget here, this clips onto the machine. So I'll show you how it works, but it's a great little tool. So that's your gadget, and it moves along, and this will be your marker for your needles, and this is your seam guide. So it actually got little clips underneath, as you can see, and it will sit on there. See the two little markers there, and this little bit here is going to sit on the other side. So we'll go ahead and clip that on, and it's good that you don't have to have it on all the time, so it just clips on like that, and then that slides along. So then when we close this back up, it looks like it's permanently there. Okay, so having aligned the seam guide here on its 1.5, which is that's the bar that matches up with your needles, and if I slide that along to the 1.5, let's just move it along to match up with the 1.5 there. So if you can see that, there's your 1.5 matching to that, which then matches to the needles there, which then matches to those needles up there. Then when you cut this, when you actually sew it, it's going to cut from that blade there. Okay, that blade will cut it off, you see, but it will actually cut 1.5 centimetre seam allowance off and make the seam at the same time. So let me just show you that happening now. So now it's going to cut off, it's going to sew, you see, so it's from there to there is 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Okay, and it's cutting, and it's going to stitch down here. 1 second. You see, I've got loops there. We don't really want loops, so I'll just chop that off for a minute. So what I'm going to do is move my underneath here. I don't know if you can see it very well. If I take the table off, you might. Underneath here is a wheel. This moves the cutting width, which means it moves the blade. So when you actually turn it up, you can see that blade moving, and you can see that notch moving. And because I was doing rolled hem earlier, I hadn't moved that over. So this denotes how much gets cut off of your fabric between there and the needle, and you can have it closer or wider apart depending on your thickness of fabric. The main rule of thumb on this machine is that if it's general cotton weight fabric, that you get this little arrow marked onto your dot there, your black dot, and so you do that by moving the wheel until you get to the black dot. So that's what we're doing cotton. So I should have done that in the beginning, but that's okay. I'm going to put this table back on. This is another handy little thing that Bernina do on the L460 machine. They have their table, which gives a lot more support when you've got heavy fabric on there. Okay, so going back to this little slide that we've got here now, I'm going to place that again up onto the little marker there, and I'm just going to trim just the edge and nothing else. So that means that when you come to sew your garment, you've not cut too much off on your edges. That's better. So that's coming out a lot better now. And so you can go at any speed with it. There we go. So that looks a lot better now, look. So that's the difference in the cutting width as well. So when it's loopy like that, it's not always tensions, it's just altering the cutting width. Okay, now you can keep going sewing without this. You always leave a chain anyway, but keep going, and you can cut it. There's a cutter there that you can just use to just cut your threads off. Okay, I still prefer to use scissors, to be honest. Right, so that's it, cutting it just without, look, it hasn't cut anything off there at all. There's nothing been, well, there is a tiny little smither, but not much cut off. Okay, we're just going to measure our 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, because that's the standard one that you would use for dressmaking. So I'm moving this along until that little mark there matches up with the 1.5 or the 5/8 if you're still in the imperial measurements. And then all of that, this especially, matches up with your 2 little notches there, which is for your needles. Okay, now generally as well, this is the point where you would possibly use 2 needles rather than 1, because 1 tends to be when you've got 3 threads on the back, which is your 1, 2, 3 across the back. The 4th one is going to be this 4th needle. So I'm just going to pop that into there. It says L for left, so we're going to unscrew there and then pop that in. And it should just go, yeah, they go straight in. And then we'll just tighten that back up. Okay, so 4 threads, it tends to be 2 needles and 2 loops coming down here. And the loops are the things that come over the edge like that. Okay, so, and 4 needles is stronger, or 4 thread I should say, is stronger when you're doing seams. So these clip in, so you just clip it in and then you take it down around there. We're going across and up. We're going to follow the yellow one, and then just under here you've got little notches to guide the fabric, or the thread I should say, into the left hand side, and then that one goes on the left hand side as well. Okay, it's handy having this little this thing here to keep everything. These are tweezers, which I tend to use to thread my needles with because it's easier. They're a godsend for overlockers actually. But yeah, here's a cool tip. Look, if you just catch your thread to the end like that, okay, and then place that right by the eye of the needle like that, and then go in, okay, it holds it. That's much quicker to do it. And then this has to go out the back, so I'm going to take it through there, and then I'm going to go around the back and grab it and take it underneath. So now we've got all the threads out, we've got 2 needles in there for doing a seam. 1 needle tends to neaten edges like this, and 2 needles will actually give you a proper strong seam. Right, so we've got the measurement there. There's your 2 little notches for your pins. You've got your 1.5. This is going to cut off 1.5 centimetres worth of fabric and then leave you with a seam. Okay, so all you do is you just sew, but you're using this guide, so you don't have to worry what size it's going to be, because it's actually going to be ended up, you see, look, it's cutting off 1.5 centimetres worth across the edge there. Okay. So you can see how much it's much wider as well than the neatening edges ones as well. Let me just cut that up. Okay, so this is showing you here where the 2 needles now are going through the fabric, and then you've got your loop on the top, which is the one that's there actually, that comes over the top, and then underneath you've got the lower looper one. That's the one that swings underneath here, which is this little thing here. Okay, so as it goes around, it's doing that. Right, now then, there's your cut off piece, okay, like that, and that's been added back for a minute. So where from that edge to there is 1.5 centimetres basically, and it's done a lovely neat edge all the way because you've got your guide, and it leaves a nice big, obviously this is in a dark colour so you can see it, but this is really strong. And on this side here it's a closed seam, so you'd fold it over like that, and then you can either stitch it down or you can leave it if you like, but that's what you get on most garments that you buy actually. you know, full strong overlock seam. You've got the main seam there and your safety seam there. So that's your cool gadget that is brilliant for keeping everything level, making sure that you get your seam, because so many people ask us about seams on the overlockers, and when you haven't got that, they'll say, well, when I cut it, I've just cut a little edge off and I maybe haven't cut enough of it, and my pattern says it's 1.5 centimeters, and I don't know where the mark goes. Where do I need to align it up? And this takes all the hassle out of it. Thanks for watching the video on the seam guide attachment for the L460 overlocking machine. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you can see more of what we've done.